All right, if you've come in for day 43, you're on the right video. First section, capitalization. Capitalize this inside address and salutation of a business letter. I'm just going to show you the answer here because I think you probably already have it figured out. You'll be looking at the D in design, the C in corporation. Capitalize each portion of the address, the South, the K in Kyrene, and the R in road. Tempe is the name of the city, capitalized. Arizona, name of the state, capitalized. Beginning of the letter, the D in dear and the S in sir. Dear sir should be capitalized. You may have been extra astute and caught some of the punctuation because that was also on the dry erase board. So you might be half a step ahead of me if you saw what you need to punctuate, but we're going to do it anyways. Punctuation, use a comma to set off contrasting statements. For example, I'm courteous, comma, never rude. So let's take a look at this sentence. Cool. I've been hired as an administrative assistant, not as an errand runner. What is the contrasting statement in this sentence? The contrasting statement is that you've been hired as an administrative assistant, not as an errand runner. So you know that you're going to have that comma after assistant before the word not. And if you're following along with that, you're like, well, I'm at the end of the sentence, so I'm going to make a great big period to show Mrs. McDonald I haven't forgotten to use my end punctuation. So that's great. We got a couple things, but let's start now at the beginning. Cool. I've been hired as an administrative assistant, not as an errand runner. Cool is an exclamation. It's an interjection. It doesn't need to be there. So we would punctuate that with an exclamation point. I've is a contraction for I have. So you're going to put that apostrophe between the I and the V. Cool, I've been hired as an administrative assistant, comma, not as an errand runner, period. So this is what it should look like. All right. Next, this section might take just a nudge longer. Got some review here. If you're not familiar, if this is feeling kind of dusty in your brain, you would want to be looking at day 32 and day 39 in your previous worksheets. So let's take a look here. Objective pronouns serve as objects. Objects of the preposition, direct objects, or indirect objects. The objective pronouns include me, him, her, us, them, whom, you, and it. Okay, now they're not going to go into great detail in explaining what a direct object, indirect object, and object of the preposition, what they are, because they've already done that. They're just going to show you examples. So again, if you're feeling rusty, go back to day 32 and day 39. All right, direct object. Mom, Tate hit me. Tate hit what? He hit me. Me completes the verb. So me is the direct object. And it receives the action of the verb. Indirect object. For a gift, his parents gave him money. Now, if you remember, an indirect object occurs between the verb and the direct object. So in this sentence, the verb is gave. Gave what? Gave money. Gave money to him. Him is the indirect object. And now we have object of the preposition. This should be fairly easy because we've been working with prepositions and prepositional phrases. They took their dog with them. If you put the parentheses around the prepositional phrase with them is the object of the preposition. Okay, so now write DO if the pronoun serves as a direct object, IO if the pronoun serves as an indirect object, and OP if the pronoun serves as an object of the preposition. And they have the pronoun in bold. So if you look at that first sentence, it says, please hand her a hammer. Okay, so please hand her a hammer. What you first need to know is this is an imperative sentence, and the subject is understood. That would be you. Okay, you hand. Hand is the verb. You hand what? What is going to complete the action of the verb? Hammer. So hammer is a direct object. So if you have a verb and a direct object, and you have a noun, in this case a pronoun, in between the verb and the direct object, chances are you're going to have an indirect object. to test for that, you would say, please hand to her a hammer. Does that make sense? It does. So her is actually an indirect object. All right? So you would label her as an I-O. Moving on to B. Take the sentence and change it from a question to a statement, and you would get, this envelope is for us. All right? Envelope is the subject. Is the verb. Okay? What do we have left in the sentence? For us. For us is what? It is a prepositional phrase. All right? So what you have here then, us, would be the object of the preposition, or an OP. All right? So the answer to that one is OP. Moving on to C. Does this cat dislike me? Again, let's change the sentence from a question to a statement. His cat does dislike me. Okay? Cat is the subject. Does dislike is the verb. What's going to complete the verb or receive the action of the verb? Does dislike who? Does dislike me. Therefore, we know that me is the direct object. All right, last sentence. He baked us a cake. He is the subject. The verb is baked. He baked what? Well, he didn't bake us, right? He baked a cake. So cake takes the action of baked. That would make cake a direct object. But they're asking us what us is. Well, let's take a look here. We've got the verb baked, we've got a direct object, cake, and we have a pronoun in between. So we know that that's probably going to be an indirect object. And our test would be to say to or for in front of it. So if we said, he baked for us a cake, does that make sense? It sure does, okay? So us is the indirect object. You would label it I-O. Now, for your bonus point, you may mark up one of the sentences with what the subject and the verb and the indirect object and the direct object is, and you will receive your bonus point. And that's pretty easy because I'm showing you the answers right now. Okay, moving on to analogies. I love analogies. Circle the best word that completes this analogy. First, determine how the first two words are related, then determine the same relationship between the third word and a word listed as an answer. So we have rotting is to decaying, as lively is to, all right, so rotting is to decaying. Those would be words that mean the same thing. Rotting and decaying mean the same thing. So now what we need to do is figure out what word from our list means the same thing as lively. All right, so if something's lively, it's full of life. So lovely. Something lovely is beautiful. So I don't think I would say that lively and lovely mean the same thing. What about lively and fastidious? Well, you need to know what fastidious means. And if you don't know what fastidious means, you have a choice of just taking a guess or of grabbing your handy dandy dictionary. All right, fastidious means very difficult to please, very particular. That doesn't sound like lively to me, so I don't think fastidious is the correct answer. Concert. Lively and concert. Well, maybe you went to a concert that was very lively, but I wouldn't say that they're the same thing. Last, we have vivacious. Do you know what vivacious means? Grab a dictionary if you don't, or listen on and I'll tell you. Vivacious means lively in temper or conduct, sprightly. It even tells us in the definition that vivacious means lively. So, lively and vivacious mean the same thing? The answer would be vivacious. Rotting is to decaying as lively is to vivacious. Okay, now you're on to sentence combining. 3 sentences to combine into one lovely sentence. I look forward to reading them. God bless you guys. Have a good day.